name's John Cordy, and there's no question of the efficacy of this vitamin C supplement, obviously. So last week I did a video about how I'm practicing the altered scale at the moment, and in that video I discussed the altered scale flavour that I use, and someone took this to mean that I didn't understand what the altered scale was or how it worked, and whipped their theory cock out. I don't think they watched the video particularly, but in the video, here's what I discussed. So, we have a key of C major, and anytime you see a dominant chord, effectively that is an opportunity in jazz to use an altered scale. What the altered scale is essentially the melodic minor scale, and so if you are playing G dominant in C, so one of the obvious dominants that you'll get in C major would be a G altered. The most traditional and the most taught altered scale that you would use would be the G altered scale, or A flat melodic minor, which is that is generally what people will tell you the altered scale is, and that is generally what is taught. So you'll get, if you're looking at 2-5-1s, this is one of the ways that people tell you to practice this. So on the D minor, you just play your D minor arpeggio, and then on that G altered, you might play some altered material in A flat melodic minor, and then you resolve to the C major. Now that hasn't escaped me as being the traditional way that things work, and I'm aware of that, but thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Individual whose comment I deleted. But as I explained in the video, there's another kind of dominant which is common in C major, and that's E7, which is the dominant of the relative minor. And naturally it follows that you would play F melodic minor with that particular sound. And to me that is actually the more common sound, not just in jazz that you hear, but like, so for instance in you hear that in kind of pop, so that's Randy Crawford's One Day I'll Fly Away. You hear it in Celine Dion's All By Myself. So this, to me, is actually the more common altered flavour that you actually hear. So it's actually built from, you could either call it a backdoor substitution, which I'm aware of this stuff, by the way, I just don't necessarily say it in every single video. That is that sound that I use more often. I think it's a kind of more classic sounding thing. You hear it in Donna Lee. So that's a backdoor substitution there as well. You can think about this as like an alternative way to approach the C and approach the root. So instead of approaching it 2-5-1, you can approach it from beneath, and which kind of works out. Stevie Wonder does it a lot, as I say, Celine Dion, Randy Crawford. Basically you hear it a lot all over the place, and that to me is what I hear a lot more of in Charlie Parker's playing and stuff, and also is the sound that I prefer. And that's why that's the scale that I paired with C major in that video that I was making. So one of the points that he made was that I'm making up some jazz theory about there being parent scales. Well, that's the way I think about stuff. So if you've got C major and your song is mainly in C major, then you've got altered options, and that's what I think of. So C major is the parent, and what are the altered options that I would have? So For instance, your typical altered option would be that A flat melodic minor. So to me it makes sense that you would practice C major and A flat melodic minor together if you were using the traditional altered, or if you were using the E altered and C major, so that would be another pairing that I would consider valid to practice. What I think music and specifically jazz ends up being is trying to connect up different kind of harmonic areas. So that's why I would practice connecting F melodic minor and C major, or A flat melodic minor and C major. So hopefully that clears that up a tiny bit. It's not escaped my knowledge that traditionally you would use that A flat melodic minor with C major. It's just that I prefer the sound of this other thing, and so that's what I practice more of. If you wanted to practice also the standard kind of altered pairing, if you like, with the C major scale, that's what I'll talk about now, just quickly. And this will be like the exercise for this week as well. So C major, as I said, G altered is going to be the most obvious choice. So what I'm going to do is, so in C root position, I'm going to play a line, and then I might use my F melodic minor. So that's two choices. One sounds inside, one sounds slightly less inside but still inside, and then we've got the other choice, which is this G altered, which to me sounds more outside and less consonant and less inside, and there's more tension in that scale. So that would be my practice for this week. So day one, I'm going to practice option 1, so that's just C major. 2 will be melodic minor, and then 3 will be the G altered or A flat melodic minor. So day 1 I'll practice that in C first and then in G, so then, and then lastly it'll be this E flat melodic minor, which is kind of difficult to visualize, and I'll move that around the circle of fifths. I'm not going to play every single example here, but then what I'll do throughout the days, as I've done in the other videos, is move that root around. So day 2 I might start on the D of the C and try and resolve it. So I'm going to figure out how I would do that in each position, and it's new to me, but that's what I'm going to try and do. And so that's going to have both of the altered options. So that's just wanting to clear that up. And for me, I think the important thing with the musical stuff is to try and connect things together rather than viewing everything as a separate kind of thing. So that's why when I'm thinking of a 2-5-1, I'm not thinking of every chord as separate. I'm thinking of that as a thing that's happening in C major, and so I'm wanting to connect those altered options with C major, basically. Anyway, so hopefully that's vaguely useful. The sheet for it I'll put up on Patreon, so it's going to be doing this thing that I'm talking about, which is placing together the altered options with the parent major scale, which kind of is a thing if you think about it. You know, you've got a relative minor, you've also got these relative altered scales. Things are related in the world in general. That's what I'm talking about. So hopefully this is vaguely useful. If you want to support the channel, there's the Patreon, you can like and subscribe. But I just wanted to clear that up slightly, and thank you for watching. Cheers.